Carl Jung said, "Awaken and shine your light for others to follow. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is an invitation to move differently in the world, to operate from a place of deep knowing and alignment. I'm Adrienne McDonald, and welcome to the Source Code Podcast. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back. It's almost the end of October. I can't believe that. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. It's been a challenging month for a lot of people, myself included, and I'm hoping for a little bit more grace as we slide into the rest of the 2024 year. We will see how that goes. Anyway, I've been having a lot of conversations recently about, I'm getting overwhelmed. I like human design, but I get overwhelmed when I'm trying to remember, okay, I'm a generator, or I'm a projector, or I'm like, what is my strategy again? It's this, it's like to inform, or like, what does that mean? These types of conversations. And I think that's normal when you first learn about human design and you're starting to get into it and trying to use it in your day-to-day life. And I was thinking to myself, it's like, okay, because I got overwhelmed at first too, and I was like, was there like one thing that really turned that for me? And I think there was, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So when you get your report or your chart, and you're looking at it, you're like, I'm a generator, or I'm a projector, or I'm a reflector, I'm this, I have these defined centers, I have those undefined centers, this is my strategy, etc. All the things, right? I think what challenges people is they attach to the label. If you're going to attach to the label, and I'm guilty of this too. I talk about the fact that I'm a generator, I'm a line 3, I'm a line 5. However, when I started really embodying this, when I started really doing serious experiment with it, what I tended to do was detach from the label and self-talk about the intent. And so I'm going to go through like the major things today and give you an alternative way of looking at this, or something that perhaps you could say to yourself that may help you remember your design and also better be able to experiment and embody your design. Okay, so let's talk about the types first. Okay, generators. I'm a generator. The thing about a generator is all about embodying abundant energy. So instead of saying I'm a generator, try saying to yourself, I'm a powerhouse of energy for things that excite me. I frequently say I'm a power plant of energy. When I was learning and embodying this, that was what I would say to myself, rather than, I'm a generator, so I've got this energy. But like, you see the difference there? It's like, I'm a power plant of energy. That is what I say to myself. That's how I move with this versus I'm a generator. Because as a generator, your life is about responding to what lights you up rather than feeling boxed in by your label. Think of yourself as like that power plant of creative, life-giving energy. And, practice saying what excites you and setting boundaries with what drains you. That is what the intent of the generator is. Allow your energy to overflow into things that you really enjoy, recognizing that's how you share your gifts with the world. So manifesting generators. The vibe of the manifesting generator is mastering multitasking magic. Instead of saying, I'm a manifesting generator, try, I'm a creator who thrives on variety and rapid action. See how that's a little bit more tangible, a little bit more like I can work with that Because when you're living your design, you're here to try new things and bring fresh energy into your projects. You're supposed to embrace your love of spontaneity and pursue what interests you without overthinking it. And if you're thinking, I am a manifesting generator, you're not going to be doing that. That's like you're in your brain there. You're in your mind. So let go of the need to explain your rapid shifts and focus to others. Instead, embrace your own energetic flow and keep moving in the ways that feel fun and satisfying. So, a projector. The vibe of the projector is the gift of giving guiding light. Instead of saying, I'm a projector, try saying, I see into systems and empower others with my perspective. I'm empowering others with my perspective. And when you're living your design, projectors are natural guides. Instead of viewing your role as a label, feel into your ability to understand others' energies and offer valuable insights. Recognizing that your power lies in waiting for recognition. Like, given that when somebody's going to be able to hear it instead of screaming into the void. Because when you're seen for your unique insights, because you are the ones that have that, your advice is transformational. You could say like one sentence that like turns everything out on a dime. Focus on cultivating patience and honing those skills so that when you are invited in and you're asked your opinion, your guidance is super laser focused at the time. But you see the difference there. It's like, I'm a projector. Now I see into systems and empower others through my perspective. Very big difference. To manifestors, your vibe is initiators of inspired action. So instead of saying, I am a manifester, try saying something like, I spark movements and pave new paths. Okay? You're all about doing the new stuff. New stuff. Manifestors are here to initiate. They're not to be managed or contained. Like seeing yourself as a pioneer, embodying like the pioneer spirit, starting new things that inspire others to follow. That's your thing. So don't get hung up on I'm a manifester. It's like, just practice following that vibe, clearly communicating and sharing your intentions. That's going to avoid those misunderstandings that a lot of manifestors come across. And trust your urge to create change. And remember, by following that inner calling, you're going to open up doors for other people because you're out there in front. Trailblazers, right? Reflectors. Your vibe is like the mirror of collective truth. So instead of saying like, I'm a reflector, try saying, I reflect the energy of my community and offer a fresh perspective. Reflectors thrive when they're in the right environment. So we've talked about this before. You got to be in the right space. So rather than seeing yourself as different or outside of the system, you're a mirror, man. Like you got to tune in to how you feel in each environment and move intentionally towards the spaces that feel really nourishing and letting go of the rest. Because this is going to allow you to give others a glimpse into their true nature. So let's move on to how we can reframe the profile lines. So line 1 is the investigator. So the whole vibe there is deep knowledge seeker. Instead of saying, I'm a line 1, the energy that you might want to transmute that into is like, I uncover foundational truths that bring about stability. Line 1 is about seeking depth and understanding. Rather than simply identifying as the investigator, you got to see yourself as someone who brings clarity to really complex matters. Like, embrace your natural curiosity and allow yourself to dive deeply into the subjects that fascinate you, knowing that this knowledge, it does create stability for you, but it also creates stability for others, right? It's like you're just diving in. Line 2, the hermit, the The hermit is about natural talent and flow. Instead of saying, well, I'm a line 2. It's like I express my gifts naturally, bringing beauty and ease. And when you're a line 2, you're naturally gifted and bring effortless mastery into what you're doing. That's why it's a lot harder for the line 2s and the hermits to really realize, like, oh, I am a master at this, because someone is usually pointing it out to them. But rather than labeling yourself as a hermit, honor your gift by creating space for solitude and recognition. Let others call out your gifts. Acknowledge your unique talents. And when you're ready, and when you want to, and when you're in the right environment, share your brilliance out. Line 3, the martyr. The martyr is like the explorer of what works. Instead of saying I'm a line 3, and I do, like I said, I use these a lot, especially when I'm teaching. I'm a line 3 because people get perspective then. But when I'm talking to myself, it's like I'm an experimenter who finds the paths that work. That's the self-talk I have for myself. So line 3s like to explore through trial and error. So think of yourself as an adventurer discovering practical truths. And that's really what flipped the switch for me is, it's like, it's not like because who wants to be called the martyr, right? So you got to reframe it. So you got to embrace those missteps as part of the journey, knowing that your experiments are going to help people around you. Like, I tried that, and this is the result I got. So maybe if you tweak this, then you will have a different result, right? Because those insights can be very effective for other people. So line 4 is the opportunist, connector, and networker. I'm a line 4. Instead of that, try I build connections that support and uplift. As a line 4, relationships are your foundation. So rather than identifying as an opportunist, embrace your ability to hold meaningful networks. See yourself as a bridge builder, bringing people together in ways that benefit everyone involved. Because your warmth and your sincerity creates really authentic and supportive connections. So line 5, the practical problem solver is the vibe there. Instead of saying I'm a line 5, I solve problems that inspire change. I offer practical solutions to problems that I want to solve. That's the vibe there. That's the alternative. That's what I tell myself because, again, I'm a line 5. So living the 5 profile. Like line 5s thrive in roles where they can solve practical issues. Instead of seeing yourself as the heretic, embody the energy of the fixer who brings visionary solutions. So use your gift for pragmatic wisdom to transform challenging situations. The caveat being the situations that you really are aligned with, the problems that you want to solve. Because when you're in that space, like that's a really powerful space to be in. So line 6, the role model. That's the embodiment of wisdom. That's the vibe of the 6. And instead of saying I'm line 6 or I'm a role model, try saying I lead by embodying my truth and inspiring others. Like I lead by being myself and showing the inspiration to others. Line 6s are here to live as examples. Now, rather viewing yourself as that role model, just step into the role of someone who grows through experience, constantly evolving and embodying the wisdom. Your presence alone does it. See your journey as one that brings others forward, inspiring them by living your own life with integrity and depth. And again, with the line 6, that's after the age of like 50 that you really step into the role model. Up until that point, you're really living like a line, like the line 3, the person that is embodying the explorer, right? The experimenter of like what paths really work there. That's what you're living when you are the line 6 up until about the age of 50, and then it switches. So let's talk about strategy a little bit. So manifesting generators and generators, the strategy is responding, right? To respond. Instead of saying I'm supposed to respond to life, what am I responding to? Try flipping that to I listen to what calls to me and I respond from my gut. Because life is presenting opportunities for you to respond every day, all the time. So what the intention there is to really practice noticing the signals, and whether it's an invitation or a person or an experience, and then listen to your gut. But if you're focused on what am I responding to, instead of just the more of the vibe of I'm listening to what calls to me, I'm feeling into what calls to me. That's a different. You can embody that a lot quicker. So projectors, the strategy is about wait for recognition and invitation. So instead of I have to be wait, and projectors really, I do find that they really struggle with this. Instead of saying I have to wait to be invited, try saying to yourself, I share my gifts with those who recognize and value them. Because if you flip that, I think it'll be a lot easier for you to really experiment with this. And also, I think you'll get a lot less frustrated and bitter. Because for projectors, alignment comes from waiting to be recognized, but rather than feeling passive and seeing this waiting as an active, you got to see this waiting as an active practice of honing your skills and sharing what you know and love with people that can hear you. Trust where you're seen by the right people, because the right people will see you when you're practicing this, because your energy it just glows and it's much more impactful in those situations. And while you're waiting, focus on learning, observing, and conserving your energy for the right moments, the right invitations, because that's when your guidance is going to be the most powerful in those moments. As manifestors, your strategy is initiating and informing. And instead of, I just have to initiate everything, try saying, I initiate boldly and inform those people that need to know. And with manifestors, it's like, who does need to know? Because not everybody needs to know. That is another challenge I think that manifestors have. And as a manifestor, you're here to start new things, right? Create movements. You got to embrace your role as the initiator and feel the freedom to act on your impulses. Let the people that are important in your life around you know of your plans, so you can minimize that resistance. And they can not be shocked or surprised or whatnot, because manifestors move really, really quickly. But you're owning your need for independence and staying in clear communication when you do that. So that'll create a certain level of harmony with those people that support your goals. Again, I find that when manifestors are starting to play with human design, that I think that a lot of them think that they need to inform everyone, like put everything on blast, and that's not the case. There's a measure of discernment there. So reflectors, the strategy of waiting a lunar cycle for clarity. And the first thing they think is, I got to wait a whole month to make decisions. And that is not true. It's try saying I allow time to reveal the true path. And in some cases, that does take a month. But not always. Reflectors thrive when they take the time before making major, significant decisions, and it could be up to a month-long cycle that allows them to gain clarity through different perspectives and energies, and the environment is super important to make sure they're in their own aura for a period of time. But using that time to explore possibilities, connecting with different people, observing the shifts, by honoring that process, a reflector will honor the natural rhythms of life, making decisions that feel whole, and those decisions will feel deeply connected. And there won't be a lot of back and forth in regret. So overall, when you're thinking about strategy, and instead of attaching to it's to inform or to this, to that, the other, it's about tuning into your environment. It's about practicing with small steps. Start using your strategy with minor choices every day, and that will build confidence, and it'll also build that muscle of following your natural approach. So let's talk about human design authority. So, emotional authority. The vibe of that is trusting the clarity of emotional waves. Instead of saying I have emotional authority, try saying I allow time to bring clarity to my choices. I have emotional authority. What I usually tell myself is, have I settled out of the wave? That's the question I ask myself. And I'm like, okay, I've got to ride this wave, because that's what it is. And emotional authority teaches patience. And instead of making impulsive decisions, leaning into that emotional wave, that natural rhythm, and taking time to feel things out is really challenging in the beginning, but you will, once you start practicing that, just telling yourself, I got to ride the wave, and then get to that neutral space, you'll find that you're more solid in your decision making, and you don't have a lot of regrets about it afterwards. Sacral authority, listening to gut instincts. Instead of saying I have sacral authority, try saying I listen to my gut. I tune into my body's yes or no for guidance, because it's very clear, yes or no. And with sacral authority, your body gives you that clear signal about what feels right. You got to practice listening to it, right? That immediate reaction is your truest answer. The tendency there is to overthink. So trust the quick or nope responses, and use them to guide decisions, both big and small. So splenic authority is about honing that quiet voice of instinct. Instead of saying I have splenic authority, try saying I trust my inner sense of timing and well-being. So splenic authority is very intuitive, often manifesting as that quiet whisper or that flash of instinct. So your decisions are best made in that moment. And in order to practice this, like I've said before, you need to make sure that your nervous system is regulated. That goes for all the authorities, but especially for splenic. And just am I trusting the timing? Am I trusting my instincts here? That's what a splenic authority will say to themselves, not I have splenic authority. Ego authority is guided by personal desire and willpower. Instead of saying I got ego authority, I trust my inner desires and sense of motivation. This is tough for people because with ego authority, they may, if they have people-pleasing tendencies, it's like, oh, I'm being selfish. You're not being selfish. You got to trust that. Trust what pulls you and play with that. But the whole thing around I have ego authority, just that statement is hard for people to work with in the beginning because, there's so much out there. The ego's bad. So I trust my inner desires and my sense of motivation. Where are you feeling that pull? Self-projected authority, following the truth of self-expression is its vibe. Instead of saying that, it's like I speak my truth and I allow my voice to guide me. I'm talking it out and feeling the pull. And those with self-projected authority, talking is important. You could talk to a mirror, but you got to hear that voice to really pull you forward. Mental or environmental authority, you're gaining clarity through environment and reflections. Again, this is another one. It's I don't even know what to do with. I have mental authority. A better way of embracing that is I attune to supportive environments and trust sounding boards. I'm in the right environment and I've got a trusted person to have a conversation with. That's where mental authorities thrive. I need to be in the right environment. I need to talk to the right person. That is where your authority is at. Lunar authority. This is the reflectors. Again, trusting the rhythms of time. So saying I flow with the lunar cycle to make aligned choices, a little bit better way of embracing that. An ego and manifested authority is following willpower through speech. And again, this is anytime you have something that says ego, people get a little apprehensive about it. So I connect with my truth by voicing my desires. And again, that's finding the right person or a mirror or talking to a plant. It doesn't matter. You have to hear your voice because that's what's going to help you process for decisions. And I mean, when you're experimenting with playing with your authority, like notice where you're using it. Like practice with small decisions, like what to eat or when to start a task, because that'll help build the trust in your authority. And then take time to reflect. Like maybe you want to journal about your experiences with using your authority, just so you can see the patterns about how it guides you best. I find this particularly true for the people that have like splenic and they're just not used to, they're not as in touch with like what their intuition feels like. And you got to find supportive environments and people. As you are experimenting with human design, you can't help but notice your environments more. I've really, that was one of the big things for me too. It's like, oh, here I feel more contracted. Here I feel more open. Those types of things. So let's go through the centers. Now, okay, centers are a little bit different because we've got like 9 centers. So that's a lot. And so there's several people like, oh my God, I don't know I can't remember if my head's open or like if my root, like it's hard for me to keep all of those in line. So with all of these, when you listen to this podcast, I probably should have said this in the beginning, it probably would be helpful if you had your chart so that you can sort of make notes on it and then just practice, like instead of saying the thing, say the sentence and the embodiment of the wisdom instead. But with the centers, you might find it more helpful of just taking 1 or 2 and focusing on them for like a week or 2 or a month even, and saying, okay, I have an open head and I have an open mind, so I'm going to practice seeing what inspiration comes in, or I'm going to notice when I'm overthinking and notice my thoughts. Are these my thoughts, or is this things that I'm taking on? Because with an open center, undefined center, that's the energy that you receive in. So instead of trying to like look at it holistically, if you're getting overwhelmed, just take 1 center and work with it. So defined centers. Head center. The vibe is information from within. Instead of saying I have a defined head center, try saying I am a source of steady inspiration. If you have a defined ajna, that's a reliable perspective is the vibe there. Instead of saying I have a defined ajna, try saying I hold a grounded perspective that offers clarity. If you have a defined throat, that's all about expression and communication. Instead of saying I have a defined throat, try saying I communicate my truth in powerful ways. Defined G center. It's a constant sense of direction. Instead of saying I have a defined G center, try saying I am anchored in my purpose and direction. I have a strong sense of self. Heart center, heart, ego center. Commitment and willpower. Instead of saying I have a defined heart center, try saying, I bring a focused determination to what I commit to. Defined sacral, life force energy. I have a defined sacral center. Try saying, I generate an abundant energy for what I love. Emotional solar plexus. I have a defined emotional center. Try saying, I experience and express my emotions as my inner guidance. You could also, what I usually say is I set, because I have a defined emotional solar plexus, is I set the emotional tone for my environment. And that helps me also be cognizant of whatever mood I'm in, I'm projecting that out. And others can be affected by that. So that's my thing, because my husband has told me on more than one occasion, he's like, get your ick off of me, because I'm in a bad mood and I'm affecting the people around me. So that's sort of one of my things of, okay, I just need to be cognizant of how I'm affecting people. For root center, for defined root, I have a defined root center. That doesn't give you a whole lot, does it? Try saying, I ground my energy with purposeful momentum. Or I am a rock in chaos. Spleen center, intuitive alertness. Instead of saying I have a defined spleen center, try saying I trust my inner sense of safety and timing. I trust my instincts. Okay? So you see how it just makes it a little bit more personalized. And you can play with the language. You just want to get the vibe of the center. So let's go through the body graph with undefined centers. If you have an undefined head center, I'm open to diverse inspiration. Instead of saying I have a undefined head center, try saying I have received inspiration from many sources around me. Instead of saying I have a undefined ajna center, try saying I can see issues from multiple perspectives. Instead of saying I have an undefined throat center, I speak and express with openness and adaptability. Instead of saying I've got an undefined G center, I experience life's journeys with openness and adaptability. I'm not meant to be one thing. Who am I today? Instead of saying I have an undefined heart center or undefined ego center, I'm free to choose what's important without pressure. I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. Undefined sacral center. Instead of saying I have an undefined sacral center, try saying I observe and appreciate others' energy while honoring my own rhythm. Instead of saying I have an undefined emotional center, I sense emotions from others, honoring my inner calm. I am a true empath. Instead of saying I have an undefined root center, say I am free to respond to life's pressures at my own pace. And I have an undefined spleen center. I'm attuned to well-being and safety in each environment. I flow. So those are a little bit, and also with the undefined spleen center, you can also say I'm attuned to what others need for safety. So that's it for this week. I want you to have fun with this. It might give you a little bit different perspective about how to look at your body graph. Connect with me on social media. Let me know what you think. Would it be helpful if I put this into like a mini guide for you? Like give you those alternatives? If that would be helpful, let me know. And remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic out in the mundane. Thank you for listening to the Source Code Podcast. If you found this episode insightful and feel moved to, please leave a review and share it out with those you believe will find it helpful. You can check out my website for more information at www.adriannemcdonald.com. And for more of my more regular musings, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. I hope you have a beautiful week.